thank you so much for having us. I know you had a long day already with a lot of talk, so we promise to make it short and spicy for you. We are in the middle of finalizing the installation of Digital by Nature, our new exhibition, a Soli exhibition that we prepared with Miguel Chevalier for the last 2 years. And I'm really excited that we have the chance to present a little bit about the way how Miguel works with AI. We have 3 pieces in the exhibition that you will be able to see starting on Friday. So I don't know if you will still be in town, but if you are, try to get and see the show. I will do a very quick introduction about how Miguel works, because since the 1980s, as GL mentioned, he has been working with computers already, and the computer is really his creative partner. So it's about creating generative pieces, it's about working with algorithm, it's about bringing chance into art, something that has been, of course, developed by artists since the 20th century. So this is very interesting to see how you work with new technologies to proceed with these kind of techniques. And in general, I think it's really a very broad view that we can see via your work. And as GL mentioned, it's always technology, but also nature that comes together in your work. And we will speak about 3 pieces: Meta Nature, Digital Crystals AI, and Digital Abuse AI. But before we start with the AI pieces, we wanted to talk a little bit about the virtual gardens that you created and started in 2005 already.
Yes. Hello. Yes. Yes, I developed many projects, especially in relationship with the nature, because the nature has inspired many artists, not for our generation, but for many other artists before. And at the end of the 90s, I discovered some engineer in agronomy who study the notion of the plant. They create some simulation of plant. And at this time, the computer, it was not so powerful, but I imagined that I can create different a plant who doesn't exist. And so I create sort of plant, sort of virtual seed. So each seed, they grow, they stay a certain time, and after, when they die, they can create a variation. So it will be interesting for me to, at the end of the 90s and at the beginning of the 2000, to create this virtual seed. And with this virtual seed, of course, it will be interesting because, like the landscape designer, I can create a virtual garden. And this virtual garden, it's also, Francesca speak about chance and random. So the computer can play with the dice and create many, many variations. It was sort of not an AI, but it was a sort of artificial life, you know. And after this, I developed some software. This software was named at the beginning Ultra Nature, after Fractal Flower, because the fractal, I don't know if you know the algorithm of fractal, but with some simple element, you can create very complex shapes in the fractal. And at the end of the, in 2018, I developed Meta Nature. And Meta Nature, it was sort of data bank of some trees, some texture of the trees, of the flowers, of the leaves. And because what I don't explain is we create with the computer scientist our own software. So it was software which doesn't exist in the market, but of course, in the notion of the meta nature, it will be sort of database. We can combine all of these images. I create the database, but thanks to the AI, I can improve the notion of this database to create some images with different softwares that you know probably or not, like Midjourney or DALI and some other. But of course, each time we need to create different prompts to explain what you want, and sometimes you obtain some result not at all that you imagine, or some very bad images. But what I am interested in the AI is that it can find some interesting. Maybe we can show.
Yeah, actually, we need the remote control, please, for the presentation.
Because it's also one thing is to explain, and one thing is to show more the piece what I am talking now. Also, what I am interested in this kind of installation.
Let's give chance.
That's only.
I try one of these. Yes, so we have an image.
So here, this is this Meta Nature fourth season. It's an installation that I made this year. It's not a generative piece, but is a installation that I made in the chateau of Chaumont-sur-Loire. It's a place where they invite many artists who are develop some project about nature. And here you can see different kind of texture made in AI. And the software that I create with Claude Micheli, it's sort of, how I explain, remixed in, and by random they create many thousand composition different, you know. And I, of course, for the fourth season, I develop more the relationship with the notion of the colors that we have on the season. And we do another installation in the John Nam Museum. And this installation, so what I'm interested in also is to investigate the notion of the space. Here it's a museum in the south of Korea. And it was quite a large space. It was 32 meter long by 5 meter high. And in this case, we can interact with the piece. They have some sensor. They detect your movement of your body, and you can interact with this cosmic nature, you know. They have some other example. We show here is in the Musée of Angers, and the idea also is to have the sensation of immersion in this in this piece, like you know, Monet. He created at the end of the 19th century, at the beginning of the 20th century, sort of a huge canvas, where you have not the notion of the scale, and it was the first idea also to have the immersion in the piece. And of course, in this sort of homage, or I don't know if we can say this, but it's sort of digital impressionism, because in this case we work with the light, we work with the time, and the computer redesign all the time new composition. So, of course, I put the ingredient at the beginning, but after the computer creates some variation, sometimes better than the other. But I think it's interesting to have this idea that the piece is never finished, or is he creates the variation at the infinity. You know, it's for me it's one of the purpose that we can do with the digital, and of course with the AI they improve this notion, because we can also with the AI we can have some texture for iridescence. We can have so much transparencies. And for example, I discover, because not at the beginning, but when you create some image, if you want to have some image about the plant made by the scanner, like X-ray, it's not possible in reality because they have no bones in the plant. In your body, of course, it's much more easy. But with the AI, I can learn step by step to adapt the notion of the transparencies that you can have. For example, what I am interested in this notion of transparencies, and with this you can obtain some unbelievable database images made by the. So for me, the AI is a tool, you know, like some other tool, but a powerful tool. But what I say also, it's the computer and the AI have no conscience about the image. So because sometimes the people say, oh, the AI, we are artists, you can lose your imagination because the AI can be much stronger than you. But I think it's completely at the inverse. If you have no vision of what you want to do, it's in reality, it's an illusion, you know?
Yeah, it's like in our interview you said it's like just a pen and a paper. If you don't know how to use it, nothing will happen. So,
Yeah.
and I think if you have this basic understanding of how AI works and how you include AI into your work, then this is really very elaborate. Also, for example, in the exhibition you will see, for example, a prompt for a Meta Natur just for one flower. It's really elaborate, and so this is something that we all, of course, have to learn in a first space. Maybe we can talk about the presentation that you did in Seoul,
Yes.
because if I may start this.
Yes.
Yes. So you
Yes.
can tell us a little bit about this,
I
because
can
you have to know
explain.
that Miguel is working a lot in the public space also with his projections. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
This is a project quite unusual that they give me. It's a really huge space. This architecture is made by the architect Zaha Hadid. It's the last piece, last building, and you know it's an unusual building because this building is if you know who Zaha Hadid it's a sort of building very organic, and also this building is completely made by computer. Of course, they have imagination, but they cannot build this kind of building without the technology. And it was quite a large piece. We was Meta Natur AI. It was 200 meter high and 200 meter long and 40 meter high. And it was quite complex because I need to readapt all the software at the scale of this building. And what is interesting now, I heard that I read that for example, the studio of Zaha Hadid, they do many sketch. Also, not they create building with AI, but they take inspiration with the different prompts that I don't know exactly, but I can imagine some prompts that I can write. And they do also sort of prefiguration of some building that they create in the studio. But in my case, it was interesting for how we can use the AI it was the first time, it was 2 years ago, in the public space, because I want also to show that AI it's an idea of how we can investigate the notion of the space and to create also, I hope so, some emotion, because they come, 1 million people come at this event, you know. It was not for permanent project. It was quite for 1 week, you know. And so it was one of the possibility for me to express how I can use the AI at the scale of the building, you know.
Yes. So maybe we can talk about the two other pieces that you made, digital abyss AI and digital crystal AI. So it's all also connected to nature. The radiolaire, I don't know if you're familiar with this term, that's very, very small living beings in the undersea world. And the digital crystals, of course, refer to, for example, to snowflakes, which is very interesting because although they look very similar, it's never the same. So this is also something, if you visit the generative installations, it will never be the same. Also, it's similar. So maybe I can show some of the newest creations. This is a digital abyss AI, so there are similar special designed forms that Miguel did. And
so I can explain a little bit, but because the plankton, it's very interesting how much in the radiolaire is part of the plankton. It's source of microorganisms. You cannot see with the eyes, or it's so small. You need to see with the electronic microscope. And the first, it was a German biologist who studied a lot of the plankton. He was Ernest Haeckel. And at the beginning of the 19th century, at the end of the 19th century, he do so much unbelievable drawing. But I discover also some now biologists like Christian Sardet, who create the mandala of the plankton. And it's interesting because the plankton, of course, they have some shape unbelievable. They inspire many artists and some architect like Buckminster Fuller, who creates the dome, geodesic dome. But in my case, it's I was inspired by this all these microorganisms. Also, it's interesting because these microorganisms, they absorb more than 60% of the carbon dioxide. You know, so they are very important because we are. A lot of people want to preserve the whale and the big fish, but all these microorganisms are function very important for the nature and for our life. You know, so and in this case, I am interested. So, how with the AI we can reimagine maybe some plankton will disappear, or I don't know, some plankton with the mutation can be appear, and they create sort of installations that we can show inspired by all these shapes. You know?
Yeah. So looking at our time is actually already up.
Oh, sorry.
So I would suggest that we look at one last question. If you have the chance to come to Kunsthalle Munich, come and see the show on Friday. But my question would be the last question: what do you want to do as next project with AI?
Well, if I need to explain this, no, I want to reactivate one project which named Terra Incognita. Terra Incognita is sort of island. It's one. How I can explain? It's. I do a scan about my brain, and the scan of my brain. It's sort of territory where you can see some. I can with the AI I can reinvestigate the notion of the imagination and to create, because what is interesting with the AI, it's now, of course, we can do images in 2 dimensions quite easily. If with prompt, you can animate, but also with AI now with, I don't know if you know the software Meshi, you can write also 3 dimension. You know, it depends of your prompt. If you give some images, and they generate image in 3 dimensions. So for this, they open a new territory between the 2 and 3 dimension, And with the 3D print, we can rematerialize something from the virtual. So the virtual can be real. You can create sort of post-sculpture, post-virtual sculpture.
Okay. So we are looking forward to see this piece someday. Thank you so much for having us, and I hope you enjoy your evening and good days at the DLD conference. Thank you very much.